Hey guys, this is Nick with Phone Arena, and today we are reviewing the Huawei Honor. The smartphone falls right into the mid-range category with its 4-inch display and 1.4 GHz single-core processor. It also comes with an 8 megapixel camera with autofocus and LED flash. The smartphone currently costs about $370 off contract, which makes it pretty affordable considering its hardware specs. The Huawei Honor feels cheap and plasticky, although we like its white glittery back cover. It is 11mm thick, which is okay for a contemporary mid-range device. However, with a weight of 135 grams, you will surely feel the handset resting in your pocket. It feels nice and solid in the hand, although we had some difficulties reaching the far corners of its screen with a single thumb. We are quite happy with the 4 capacitive buttons underneath the display. They are sufficiently responsive and we did not experience any accidental presses. The 2-button volume rocker and the lock key located on the device's left and top sides respectively are also well made. They are well exposed and provide plenty of tactile feedback. The 4-inch display on the Huawei Honor has a pretty high resolution for its size, 480 by 854 pixels, which is why graphics look nice and sharp and fine text is easy to read. It also has pretty accurate color reproduction. Unfortunately, the screen is not as sensitive as we want it to be, which is why it doesn't register our presses from time to time. Also, it is very prone to collecting fingerprints, but other than that, its viewing angles are okay and with a little effort you can use it in broad daylight. The Huawei Honor has a 1.4 GHz single-core processor and 512 MB of RAM, which is enough processing power to run its interface fluidly even with a live wallpaper running. The unit that we have here is running Android 2.3.6 Gingerbread, and we can choose between the Huawei custom interface or the Android stock one, which is something that you don't get to see on Android smartphones that often. The Huawei custom interface features a convenient lock screen with shortcuts to the camera, dialer and texting applications, although it would have been nicer if these shortcuts were customizable. You get up to 5 home screens which you can customize with shortcuts, folders and widgets. The weather widget is surely among the most beautiful ones we have seen so far. It has really nice realistic animations and the weather information is provided by AccuWeather. The task manager that the interface has been customized with is a real improvement over what we have seen on other Android handsets so far. Upon holding down the home button you get a side-by-side view of all recently opened applications. With the Huawei Honor you get a touchpal virtual on-screen keyboard which, if it wasn't for the handset's unresponsive display, would have been really easy to use. It is well spaced out both in portrait and landscape modes, and if you want to input a digit or a symbol instead of a letter, you just slide down the corresponding key. Huawei has complemented its smartphone with several very useful features, namely the Huawei Cloud Plus Drive, All Backup and Security Guard. The Cloud Plus offers 16 GB of online storage, which is pretty good considering that you don't have to pay for it. The stock web browser on the Huawei Honor does get the job done if it's not pushed too much, but it gets slightly choppy when rendering heavy web pages, such as ours, phonearena.com. Its performance, however, improves noticeably when the Adobe Flash plugin is turned off. Other handy features that you get include tap to zoom, pinch to zoom, and text reflow, all of which work as intended. Unfortunately, the 8 megapixel autofocus camera on the Huawei Honor is plagued by a flaw that adds a purple blob in the middle of your photos, or at least on the unit that we are reviewing today. But even if we try to ignore that, the photos don't look particularly good. They are low on detail and there is plenty of digital noise present, especially when shooting under low light conditions. The HDR setting makes the photos look only marginally better, and when you have a feature turned on, the time between individual shots is unacceptably long. The 720p video that the smartphone shoots has the same purple spot in the middle, it lacks detail, it looks far from fluid, and the audio that it captures is very faint. The stock music player on the Huawei Honor is not bad at all, but could have been much better. What we like about it is that it has its own audio visualization that pulsates to your tunes and that it comes with a file browser, which comes in handy in case your audio files are not neatly organized. However, what is somewhat annoying is that flicking through album art on the now playing screen automatically changes the song instead of letting you browse for the one that you're looking for first. Also, the player has troubles rewinding and fast forwarding tracks, and support for lossless formats is missing. The built-in video player is nothing special. It could play back some of our 720p MPEG-4 sample files, but only the ones encoded with a low bitrate. DivX file formats are not supported. Without a doubt, in-call quality is one of the Huawei Honor's advantages. The earpiece reproduces clear and natural voices that are sufficiently loud and free of distortion at the same time. The microphone, although adding a faint crackle every once in a while, does a pretty good job as well, especially with the help of that secondary microphone for noise cancellation. The loudspeaker is also pretty good and is sufficiently loud for a pleasant hands-free conversation. The smartphone comes with a 1900 mAh battery, which might seem like much but delivers the rather average 6.5 hours of talk time. Standby time is a little less than 16 days, which is not a bad figure. Probably one of the best things about the Huawei Honor is its great value for money ratio. It can be bought for about $370 off contract, and at that price point no other brand name company would be able to match its specs. However, you get what you pay for, so you will have to deal with its not so sensitive display and hope that your camera is free of glitches, not to mention that the device feels cheap and plasticky. If you insist on having a relatively big display, you can also check out the LG Optimus Black and the Sony Ericsson Xperia Arc. And if 3.7 inches of display real estate would be sufficient, we can also recommend the Sony Ericsson Xperia Neo or Xperia Pro. Thank you for watching our video review of the Huawei Honor. This is Nick, and if you'd like to check out any of our other smartphone reviews, just visit our website phonearena.com.